The Okavango Delta in Botswana is one of the few places on Earth where the dry season does not mean scarcity. The annual flood from the north fills the channels, the floodplains, the papyrus beds, and everything that needs water follows it. Elephants travel hundreds of kilometers to reach the delta in the dry months. And where elephants gather, lions follow. She is 53 years old. Her name, in the research records of the Okavango Elephant Project, is F117, a designation that captures nothing about what she actually is, which is the oldest female in a matriarchal lineage that has been tracked by researchers for 22 years. In those 22 years, she has survived 2 droughts, the death of her mother, the loss of 1 calf to a crocodile, and 11 dry seasons in this section of the delta. In elephant terms, this is late middle age, experienced enough to know every waterhole in this section of the delta, old enough that the calculation of energy expenditure versus gain has become the central logic of every decision she makes. Her tusks are long and asymmetric, the left one worn down from decades of use, the right one intact. She weighs approximately 4,300 kilograms. She has been making the crossing between the eastern feeding grounds and the northern waterhole for 31 years. She is alone today, which is unusual for an elephant of her status. Matriarchs of her age and experience typically move with their family unit, their daughters, their granddaughters, their great-grandchildren in the case of the oldest females. The herd structure around an experienced matriarch is not merely social, it is functional. She holds the spatial memory that younger elephants do not yet possess, and the herd benefits from that memory every time she leads them to water, to food, to the routes that avoid the risks the younger animals cannot yet read. Not because the herd abandoned her, she left them. The calf born last wet season is weaning, the feeding competition at the main herd's location is fierce, and she knows from 3 decades of spatial memory exactly where the grass at the northern waterhole grew long and undisturbed through the wet months. She is going there. She has been going there every dry season for 31 years. She does not know that the pride has been watching the waterhole for 2 days. She will know it, precisely and completely, within the next 40 minutes. But for now, as she moves through the open floodplain toward the sound of the water, her attention is on the route and the destination, not on the still shapes in the long grass 200 meters to the southeast that have not moved since before dawn. There are 9 lions in this pride. The adult male patrols the eastern perimeter. 2 adult females handle the primary hunting. 4 subadults, 2 male, 2 female, are learning to hunt and learning specifically how this pride hunts the largest prey available in the delta. And 2 older females complete the group, their experience shaping decisions that the younger animals do not yet have the context to make. The delta is not flat. From the air, it looks like a mosaic of water and land, the channels braiding through the floodplains, the islands of higher ground rising just enough above the seasonal flood level to stay dry through the wet months. From the ground, moving through it, the complexity is felt rather than seen. The subtle changes in footing, the sudden deepening of a channel that looked crossable from 20 meters away, the reed beds that provide cover for animals of certain sizes and become walls for others. It looks flat from a distance, but the ground here is a complex of slightly elevated dry land, shallow seasonal floodplain, reed beds, and the deep channels of permanent water. An elephant moving across this terrain has options that a lion does not. The deep channels, for instance, are barriers to a lion, but simply wading depth for an elephant. The pride knows this. Their strategy, refined across many hunts, accounts for it. They let her reach the waterhole. This is not passivity. This is the first element of a strategy that this pride has used before on large prey. Letting the animal drink, letting it commit to the location, letting it reduce its alertness in the particular way that a thirsty animal reduces its alertness when it finally reaches water. The older lioness, watching from the grass, reads the elephant's approach and the angle of her descent to the water, and adjusts the positions of the two subadults accordingly. Quietly, without sound, the grass barely moves. She drinks for 11 minutes. The water is low at this point in the dry season. The level has dropped 60 centimeters since the peak of the flood, and the near bank has retreated to expose a long, flat margin of dried mud. She drinks standing in 12 centimeters of water, her trunk drawing up 8 liters with each cycle, her ears fanning slowly to manage the midday heat. The delta is quiet around her. The birds are in the canopy. The papyrus moves in the light wind. When she turns to leave, the pride is between her and the route back to the herd. Not obviously, not in a line. 2 lionesses are visible in the long grass to the southeast, the direction she came from. 1 subadult male is visible to the northeast. These are the animals she can see. The others are positioned in the shorter grass and the shallow reed beds, invisible at ground level, known to her only as the particular pressure of a situation that her decades of experience have taught her to read accurately. She reads it accurately. She does not run. Running from a predator at her size and age is a last resort, not a first response. It costs energy, it commits her to a direction, and it does not guarantee separation. Instead, she stops. She raises her head to its full height. She faces the 2 visible lionesses and spreads her ears to their maximum width, an action that increases her apparent size by nearly 40% and broadcasts a very specific message. I know you are there, I know where you are, and I am not moving in the direction you want me to move. The older female lioness, the one with the notch in her left ear, 12 years old, the tactical brain of this pride, does not charge. She holds her position in the long grass and watches. She is waiting for something. The elephant can read the patience in the lioness's posture as easily as she can read the wind. This is not a pride that panics or rushes. This is a pride that waits. The subadult male to the northeast takes 3 steps forward. The elephant turns toward him. He stops. She holds the turn, ears spread, facing northeast. Behind her to the southwest, one of the invisible lions moves. The elephant hears the movement, a faint displacement of dry grass, a fraction of a second, and turns again. The movement stops. Whoever was there has flattened. This is the pattern. It is not random. It is not chaos. What looks from a human perspective like a confusing series of small movements is a structured information-gathering operation run by animals whose cognitive capability for spatial reasoning and social coordination has been shaped by exactly this kind of challenge across thousands of generations. The pride is not reacting. The pride is planning. The pride is not hunting her yet. They are mapping her. They are learning where she turns, how fast, what she responds to, where her attention goes when it is pulled in one direction. This information, gathered across minutes of apparent inaction, will shape the geometry of whatever comes next. She has been standing at the waterhole margin for 14 minutes. The situation has not changed. The pride is still in position. She is still between them and her route home. But something in the pressure of the standoff has shifted. The older lioness has moved, not toward her, but to the west, repositioning. 2 subadults have moved to the south. The geometry is changing. The elephant makes a decision. It is not an impulsive one. She has been standing at the waterhole margin for 14 minutes, reading the situation, reading the positions as they shift, reading the particular quality of the patience in the older lioness's posture. And she has, in that 14 minutes, arrived at something. She moves north. She moves north, and in doing so, she demonstrates something that researchers who have studied elephant decision-making in predator-presence scenarios describe as strategic spatial reasoning. The ability to select not the most direct route, but the route that creates the most favorable conditions for the animal's own capabilities relative to the threat. She is not running to safety. She is moving to terrain that changes the terms of the encounter in her favor. Not her route home, not the direction of the feeding grounds, but the one direction that the Pride has left open. There are no lions to the north. The ground to the north is open floodplain, slightly elevated, with no cover for 100 meters. She is not going home. She is going to the ground where the Pride cannot use concealment. She is buying the situation that favors her. She moves at a deliberate walk, not fleeing, moving with the specific intention of an animal that has thought this through. The Pride responds. The older lioness rises from the grass and begins to follow, parallel to her path, staying in the longer grass at the edge of the floodplain. Two subadults follow the older lioness. The male stays at his position to the northeast. The geometry of the Pride is now a loose arc behind her and to her left. She reaches the open floodplain and stops. She turns to face the direction she came from. She is on open, slightly elevated ground. Behind her, the ground drops to a shallow, seasonal wetland. Water she can enter and they cannot follow into. In front of her, the Pride is in the grass at the edge of the floodplain, visible now. She can see 4 animals from here, and she knows there are more she cannot see. The older lioness stops at the edge of the open ground. She sits. The elephant stands. The lions sit. The midday heat presses down on the delta. A fish eagle calls from somewhere over the permanent channel. Neither side moves. 17 minutes pass this way. The heat builds. The fish eagle calls again. A herd of red lechwe, visible at the far edge of the floodplain, moves slowly through the shallow water with the unhurried confidence of animals that have correctly identified where the threat is and where it is not. The elephant tracks them with her eyes. The lions do not move. The standoff continues in the particular suspended quality of a situation where neither side can move without changing the calculation for the other. Then slowly the older lioness lies down. The subadults take their cue from her and settle in the grass. The Pride is not abandoning the hunt. They will be up and moving again the moment conditions change. But they are not pressing this configuration. This ground, this elephant, this standoff, the calculation has shifted. The energy cost of continuing to press the hunt on open ground against a 4,000-kilogram animal that knows exactly what it is doing does not return a positive result. The elephant waits another 6 minutes. Then she begins to move, not north, not the direction she moved before, but northwest, a long arc that will bring her back to the route toward the herd without passing close to the position the Pride had held. She is rerouting. The spatial memory that has been building for 53 years is being used in real time, drawing on the full map of this section of the delta to find the path that works. She moves steadily. The Pride watches her go. No lion rises to follow. An hour and 20 minutes later, moving through the Mopan woodland on the western approach to the southern feeding ground, she stops once. She lifts her head and reads the air for 30 seconds. Then she continues. An hour and 20 minutes later, she rejoins the herd. At the southern feeding ground, the calves are there. The other females are feeding. She moves among them, her bulk and presence settling back into the group in the way that experienced elephants settle. Without ceremony, without event, simply present again. The Pride moves back to the shade of the acacia grove near the waterhole. The older lioness drinks where the elephant drank, 2 hours after she left. The hunt did not succeed, but it was not failure, it was information. Every standoff teaches the Pride something about the specific animal they faced, about the terrain, about which configurations work and which do not. The knowledge compounds. The next time a lone elephant comes to this waterhole, the Pride will know more than they knew today. The delta continues. The water level drops another 2 centimeters. Somewhere to the north, the annual flood is already gathering in the highlands of Angola, building toward the pulse that will reach the delta in the next wet season and refill everything. The channels, the floodplains, the water holes, and the animals that depend on all of it will follow the water, as they always have, And the calculations of predator and prey will continue in exactly the way they always have, shaped by experience, refined by memory, and never entirely resolved.